Maendeleo Chap leader, Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua, walked out on fellow leaders appearing on a political show here on KTN, insisting that he cannot debate Okamani politics with what he calls junior members of parliament. The two members of parliament, Francis Mwangangi from Yatta and Peter Mwaduki from Yala, however, went ahead with the show. On the right of reply, we are now joined by Wiper Secretary General Hassan Omar. Good evening, SG.
Good evening, James Smart. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Great. So, is it a policy of Wiper not to debate with the junior members?
In fact, my own assessment is that in this world, we are trying to create a classless society, people who are accountable to everybody, including Wanjiki. One should be able not only to debate with members of parliament or National Assembly for that matter, but also to debate with Wanjiku, should she have issues that he or she would want to raise with you. So I think that arena of self-importance is long overtaken by time. We live in a fairly more moderated, more liberal world, and I think we should open ourselves to all kinds of debate and by all strata of society.
Moesh Onsarigo here.
Yes,
in his own words, the Maendeleo Chap governor says the only person he can debate with is your party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. Are they at that level, all of them?
I think my colleague is also being a bit too full of himself. I think the kind of he does not sit at the same on the same place. But my party leader can debate him as a matter of humility, not as a matter of position. So I think what happens is I think he should abdicate that position of self-importance. And if he wants to believe that he's an equal to Kalonzo Musyoka, then I think he's on the wrong track. The next day we'll say he has to debate Raila. The next time we'll say since he has an executive function, then he wants to debate Uhuru Kenyatta. But I think one must be confident to face challenges from all sides and from all directions. And that's why for me, whenever I come to interviews, whoever might be there, unless I have serious ideological and other differences, it will not be on the basis of what is the size of his position or how important or lack of importance he or she is.
Let's talk about just for a second about party discipline here. The Maendeleo Chap has not made his views, known. Has made his views known about being in Wiper and saying that to the extent that he does not believe that he will actually vie in or defend the seat in the next time in 2017 with that party. And there's been conflict, of course, with some members of parliament, and of course, with the party leader. How easy is it to enforce party discipline, or this is just democracy, if you like?
What party the Maendeleo Chap leader, for that matter, Machakos governor has done, cumulatively constituted to a breach of the Constitution, constitutes a breach of the Political Parties Act, particularly with respect to membership within a particular party. And unfortunately, that lack of enforceability is because also we have a very weak political parties tribunal, that if you were to take these complaints, they will simply, restate members back to positions that they hold. So I think he has breached every non-law protocol, party discipline, including party code of conduct. And I think the party will this time move towards taking disciplinary action against him. I think sooner than later he shall be served with a notice to show cause. Why then he should not leave the party. We agree, we believe in democracy, but in democracy, when you have issues and fundamental divergences, you also have the democratic right to go and seek new capital. You have democratic right to be an independent candidate. And what Mutua has done is to poo-poo on the Political Parties Act, which tried to deal with the kind of prostitution and that usually weakens the political opposition. That you saw after the advent of multipartyism. Literally everybody crossed the board and weakened the opposition. So in spirit of that, it has allowed you to cross over, but do it in a manner that is meaningful. Announce your resignation from the party that nominated you to the Senate or to a particular position, and move on. What he's doing is a breach, and it defeats the spirit of the Constitution to have a legitimate opposition and to ensure that parties become the units of political competition and ideological discourse in the country.
Mheshimiwa, in just 30 seconds or less, is this about debating junior members of parliament? Is it about supremacy wars in Ukambani?
I think it's about Mutua being Mutua. The guy, I think the first fellow, and unfortunately thinks it's too important for everybody and everything. His only level is Uhuru Kenyatta. So I think it needs to climb down from the ivory tower of self-importance and realize that the members of parliament also have political capital and they were elected to represent certain interests, and therefore debating them is part of what goes with the political responsibility of any responsible leader.
Interesting. I think those are lessons in spin, Dr. Spin, if you like, been called Dr. Spin, in other avenues. Well, tonight, thank you very much, Senator. Well, tonight we're asking you, should the government name countries and people behind plans to overthrow it? Should the government, be naming people and countries, behind to overthrow it? Quick.
I don't think that would be prudent because of what is called diplomatic relations with the countries. And in terms of investigation, if you named people,
yes,
what would you do after that? Where would the investigation go after you've named people?
If the investigations at all.
Yes.
Well, let's take a short break. That's where the news sources. When we come back, we have plenty more, including the other side of the break. That discussions about ICC and what Kofi Annan thinks and Fatou Bensouda. Don't go too far.
Welcome back to News Sources. Tonight we are asking you, should the government name countries and people behind plans to overthrow it? Should the government name people and countries planning to have it overthrown? Moving on, now the former UN boss Kofi Annan has questioned the decision of the International Criminal Court to allow Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto to remain free as their cases at the International Criminal Court proceeded. Kofi Annan, who oversaw the mediation peace efforts that saw an end to the election violence in 2008, says the court might have been wrong letting them free. Gentlemen, your take, Boru.
I think one of the things that we have to remember, why did the ICC come in, or why, Kofi Annan came in? The thing is, there was a failure. They were given multiple opportunities to ensure that we set up a local tribunal in order for, the 6 who were accused to be tried in Kenya. They were given multiple opportunities. That didn't come through. We went to the ICC. To the matters around the ICC, I think one of the things that we really need to put out in the public is that the court failed at multiple levels. Not just, what as a chief mediator Kofi Annan said, but even the questions around witness protection. Mm-hmm. The court has consistently said, and Bensouda, even in last week's interview, she said that there was tremendous amount of witness interference and intimidation. Here is my question. these are not people who have been accused of, stealing chickens. These are serious cases. If these guys know that, particularly she said for the deputy president's case, the case hinged on those prosecution witnesses, why wouldn't they take those prosecution witnesses out of the country? There were points at which they said that the servers were hacked.
So is the question, yeah? Well, the difficulty with ICC that I have is this, that it became so convoluted, and we, as the press, decided to cover it as a sport of some sort,
yes,
and a political story instead of a legal case like you'd cover a normal court case.
Right.
So that we would cover, a win for Uhuru today when, the courts decide or the judges decide on the side of the defense, a blow for Fatou Bensouda or something. We adopted it as a style and a chance. That's the first problem I have with it. Now, the second problem is, which now is coming from that, the Bensouda and Kofi Annan are saying that in fact we've been a big mistake. We should have in fact locked them up first, right? And that is the substantive question today, all right?
Yes, the problem with the Kofi Annan statement would actually be the very problem that we faced in the argument of being innocent until proven guilty. The Constitution of Kenya nowadays even allows people who are charged with robbery with violence and murder to be out on bail, cash bail.
So, but that's before you make this point,
yes,
how do you explain people like, Bemba, who's just been charged 18 years today, staying in prison, all that through? How do you explain it in the same understanding that you're still innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah.
How do we balance the two?
That's the problem with the international justice system, criminal justice system. And when there are double standards like those, the African dictators get very happy because they are able to pinpoint that this is not a court of justice but a political court. So therefore, it all boils down on the difficulties that an international court that is trying people highly placed in the society can go, because we are talking about the president, the deputy president, who probably even sit in the security. They are the chairman of the
no, I think Smart. It's a catch-22 situation for Kofi Annan and his team. I think these people trusted institutions to work and trusted governments to respect the rule of law. And you remember the ruling by the International Criminal Court said one of the cases was dropped because there was massive interference of witnesses. Some were outed, some disowned their statements, some did not show up in court. And again, there's a feeling that these charges were fictitious as they came, and people prayed about it. Smart. Remember, we have had prayer rallies since 2013, and somehow God delivered these people. We cannot go back there. It's water under the bridge. And I don't even understand why Kofi Annan can decide to bring up.
Is it sour grapes? Yeah. That the international community and Kofi Annan, feel that their pet project, has, in effect.
I mean, that's how you look at it, and that's how the Kenyan media must look at it going forward. Because where has Kofi Annan been all this time? And I'm here speaking as a very...
Bro, yes, let's ask this question, yeah?
Please.
Where these multiple failures that we talk about,
yes,
where were the courts to arrest it? Where were the international partners? Where were Kenyans? Where was the Kenyan media to claim, that this appears to be, double standard in handling of this case? Where were we?
I mean, the reality was, it starts from what you said. The framing was these questions. The way ICC was framed was purely, it was, the lowest common denominator was a win and a loss. Bensouda's win is the other person's loss. Right. I think that is where we
lost the case.
We lost the case to begin with.
And unfortunately, we have to lose that case there. Unfortunately, gentlemen, because the government has promised to stem what cases of terror attacks on the Kenyan soil, building of a wall along the porous Kenyan-Somali border was one move. Now, purchase of armored vehicles for its security agencies, among others. But that has not stopped Al-Shabaab from killing our very own inside our borders. 5 policemen have been killed and their bodies set on fire by the terror outfits. Let's start with it. What gives? You're making your...
I don't think that is prudent. I think Kenya is such a big country. Kenya is not like a plot within an estate where you can put a perimeter wall for your own security. I think it goes beyond that. We need to come up with better ways of protecting our people. than thinking of putting a perimeter wall, because most of the terror probably cells are within the country. We have seen people being attacked by people within than people without. So therefore, we cannot say that we are going to construct a wall
to make sense of it. Bro,
kilometers.
What's the problem with this story?
My problem actually starts in 2011. You know, when Kenya went into Somalia, the narrative that we were sold was to go to destroy and destabilize Al-Shabaab. In fact, since we went in, we've had more attacks inside Kenya than we've had for the period that Somalia was unstable. 98, they weren't coming for us, they were coming for the Americans. 2000, Kikambala, they weren't coming for us.
But now they have a reason.
Since we went in,
yes,
post 2011, we became a primary de facto target. That's number one. Number two, at the beginning of this campaign, everybody was on board, most Kenyans. But you ask everyone now, even then we were posing the question, what is the end game? Nobody knows what the end game is. We've lost so many soldiers. The kind of communication that we get is almost close to zero. El Ade happened, nothing. Nobody knows what happened. And my biggest problem is, as a country, we forget that communication and information is realm of war. The moment we fail to give adequate, formal, correct information, you are giving a group like Al-Shabaab that feeds on that to actually fill that void. We've lost on that.
Dennis, is it the question, I mean, and this is a very serious point that is being raised, of how Kenyans are informed about their security, because it's primarily something that we Kenyans should have. I mean, it's a right. But the second, it's a military, project. So in effect, you cannot,
I agree with you, James, and remember, like now we cannot ask how far the Great Wall of Somalia has gone, because this wall should be upstanding. I don't know how far it has gone, how many kilometers we have covered in building this wall. It's something we should be seeing, but again, we cannot ask because it's a security,
national security
thing.
Right.
And we bought armored vehicles for Kenyan policemen and Kenyan security forces.
Right.
How a ragtag militia can bring down an entire police land cruiser with an RPG when they're supposed to be riding in a serious armored vehicle. It's a story for another day, James. And again, it's something we should. Is
it the fact that this is happening in what we call far-flung, which I don't say far-flung from who, isn't the fact that it's happening in, that northeastern, that's why it's not getting serious interrogation?
No, James. It started like that. It started like that. It started from Garissa. It went to Ajia. It went to Mandera before it finally happened at Westgate. Okay. It happened. And
so it's coming.
Happened, yes.
It's coming.
Who knows? But we don't want something like that to happen in this country. But
here's my beef, though. I mean, when we are executing the war on terror, the general tendency is to focus so much on the hardware, building our armored vehicles. Let's have this. But we completely forget the software, which is the people. Because the people are the center of gravity in these kinds of war. Go to Mandera, Garissa, Wajir and ask them, do you feel safe and secure if there is a crime that is about to happen that you'll report to the police? We forget, you are in an armored vehicle, correct? These guys will not come for you. They will go for softer targets because they will make a virtue out of the necessity that they do not have the capacity to engage you one-on-one.
10 seconds or less, Lampa.
Yeah, I think it's sad that a police vehicle can be brought down by a ragtag militia, as Dennis on Sarigo calls it. I even question the level of intelligence that probably the police should have since the attack on a bus and the quarry in Mandera. Yes. We've had these attacks from
over and over again.
Yes, over and over.
Let's move on to another issue that we should be talking about. The United Nations has given in to Kenya's demands of closing one of the largest refugee camps in the region. The Kenyan government had maintained the Dadaab refugee camp must be closed and refugees sent back home. Will it stem the incidents of security, Lempa? Let's kick it off from there. This is something we know. We're not talking about security budgets. At least this we know.
Yes, I don't think, I think by improving our intelligence and our investigations would stem insecurity. But I don't think per se closing the Dadaab camp, refugee camp, would actually be very prudent to the state. But having said that, looking at the pictures that we see on that camp, hearing or listening to the UN and international community talk about these people, you wonder that is whether the type of life these people live meets the standards, the UN standards of living. Because looking at the Universal Convention on Human Rights, Universal Declaration on Human Rights, at least Article 28 talks about standard of living. Is that the type of living that you would be telling the government, don't move people, let them stay there, and at least for 25 years? We must actually start thinking.
But Lempa, isn't their security much more important? Because, I mean, there are levels to this, right?
I want to chip in, just, segueing from where we were talking about security, right? One of the reasons why we went into Somalia was to stabilize Somalia. So now, if Somalia is stable, why is KDF there? We have an obligation as a country. We've taken in, nobody leaves their country if they know that their country is not safe. Nobody makes that choice. Being a refugee is not a choice. But then if we are saying we are in Somalia to stabilize in Somalia, but KDF is still there, and then we are sending these people over there where we know it's not safe. That's number one. Number two, we are talking about, close to 400,000-500,000, Somalis, because not all of them are from Somalia. People who are disenchanted, people who are so angry, people who are so bitter, and we giving a free bonanza, in terms of public relations, and recruitment to the same Al-Shabaab in South Central Somalia that we complain about.
James,
security.
Dadaab is it
at some point?
Is it a good avenue for people to be trained as terrorists?
At some point, it has to close. I think that whether it's this November or it's next year November or it's in 2030, it has to close. All right. So I think on the overall argument of how you can host refugees and at what point do you start integrating into the society, all right, or you take them back, that's a genuine conversation. Right. I think the difficulty is in how it's being done, all right?
Yes,
that it appears ad hoc and it's something that is not very well thought out, and in fact the repercussions of it.
Yes, and someone having actually been born there, the person who was born when this camp was established is now 25 years. So this is a person who is...
That's a very serious point. Just let it rest there. 25 years old.
Yes.
Well, the Pangani 6 joined at the hip with allegations of hate speech. Today had lunch with CORD leader Raila Odinga, returned to South Member of Parliament, Moses Kuria, who was set to formally apologize to the CORD leader, who has since unconditionally, I repeat, unconditionally forgiven him. That's newly found love. Let's just listen in, all right? Well, yes, that's, I mean, from the pictures there, joining in and getting into to have, this. 1 minute. I don't want to waste time about this food thing, yeah? 1 minute or less, very quickly.
I love fish. Let me put that very clear. These fish,
I don't know where that type of forgiveness leaves Kaparo and his team.
Yes.
Because these are the people who are supposed to enforce. Actually, I don't even know where this leaves the court case. Because just a declaration that I have unconditionally forgiven this person can be said that it has done away with the case. And finally, on Kaparo, we've always heard him say that they do not have power to prosecute.
Yes.
But if you look at what that commission is, a person, and that person can even privately prosecute someone.
You know what?
If they have that drive.
I must, since we all love, fish and love eating, and he's just closed. Then he said, "Are you hungry?"
It's good time to be alive. I need to be home.
Let's just, get in, a few kicks, into the set. You're right.
For who again?
let's get in the cake into the set and a contingent.
Gentlemen, this is a coup.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you very much.
I think.
Thank you very much. Wow.
Could you zoom in to the cake? Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
All right. It's. Speech. We're demanding a speech. You have 1 minute.
No, I don't know what this cake is. But I can see my daughter's name here.
Yes.
We have a new member of the family. Her name is Shana. And ladies and gentlemen, asante sana for the cake. Yeah, that's why I've been away for 14 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to have you back. We missed you. And
Oh,
this
James.
is,
James.
it's a very, I mean, I'm going to
Control yourself.
The second one.
you know,
This is for, it's someone's birthday. Or someone's